Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our Swift tutorial series, and in this particular tutorial we are going to be talking a little bit about Xcode. Now, what exactly is Xcode? Well, Xcode is the IDE, or Integrated Development Environment, built by Apple to build for Apple platforms. This IDE is primarily used for programming in Swift and Objective-C, but you can also program in C and C++ using this IDE. There used to be an IDE by JetBrains called Xcode that people used to build Swift code in and all that kind of stuff, but that IDE got discontinued, and so Xcode is pretty much our only alternative. It's pretty much our only alternative way of building apps with Swift or learning Swift or anything like that, unless you want to go with Swift Playgrounds, which is also possible, but you can't really build any large-scale apps with Swift Playgrounds, so Xcode is usually the go-to. Now, of course, when you first install Xcode and you first run it and all that stuff, it's going to ask you which components you want to install. So, like for example, which environments you want to develop for, like iOS and macOS. Those are selected. I believe macOS is selected by default. I'm not sure about iOS. If it's not, select it. There's also watchOS, tvOS, visionOS. Those are optional if you want to develop for the Apple Vision Pro at some point. Go ahead and select that. If you want to develop for the Apple Watch, select that. If you want to develop for the Apple TV, select that. Just know that when you select those and it starts downloading all those components, it's going to take up more storage on your Mac. So if you don't have a large hard drive, or a large SSD rather, I'm sorry about that, buddy, but yeah, you're going to have some problems there if you have a small SSD. But that is pretty much Xcode itself. Let's go ahead and create our first project in Xcode. So once you've downloaded Xcode from either Apple's website, the developer.apple.com, or from the App Store, go ahead and open it up, and you'll be faced with this screen here. What you're going to want to do is, let's see here. Okay. You are going to want to create new project. And we are going to, let's see here. Okay, we're going to go into the platforms here, and we're going to select macOS. And then inside of our template chooser, little collection here, we're going to say command line tool. All right. And then on this screen where it asks you for the name of your project and stuff like that, we're just going to call this Swift tutorials. Now you're going to want to create a team, a provisioning profile, stuff like that, to get started with that. So go ahead and go through that process. And once you're done, make sure that you're using your personal team. And the bundle identifier can just be whatever you want. I have com.joshrootdev. right? So that's my organization identifier, rather, and then the bundle identifier is just your what's above plus the product name. Make sure Swift is selected as the language. But if we look inside of this pop-up or this combo box, you can see we have Swift, we have C++, C, and Objective-C. We want Swift. So again, make sure Swift is selected as your language. Go to Next. And then choose a place to save it. We are going to... I'm not going to create... I'm going to put this under source control. Okay? We're going to put that under source control. I'm going to go into my sidebar. And I'm going to select the desktop. And now we're going to go into Create. And let it do its thing. It might take a little while. All right, so here we are. Inside of your your project navigator, I should say. Go into your main.swift file. And then inside of your main Swift file, we're going to keep import foundation. Okay. All right, so it's just verifying a couple things in the middle of recording. I wish it wouldn't do that, but it's doing it anyway. And there's not much I can do about it. But what I want you to do... okay, what I want you to do is run your code. So do a Command R, or go up to the toolbar up at the top of Xcode and hit the play button. Once you actually run your code, if everything's set up correctly and everything like that, you should have something printed to the console. So, in fact, now that that's all finished up, we're printing Hello World. So let's do a Command R. Let it do its thing. Let's see. And build succeeded. Again, sometimes Xcode will be slow. That is just that's an issue with Xcode that's been widely reported. There's not much I can do about that. I wish I could do something about it, but I can't. Apple has to be the one to do it. But you can see in our console window that pops up, we get Hello World. And so now we have Xcode set up and everything runs. So thank you all so very much for watching. This has been our video on an introduction to Swift. And we will see you all in the next video, where we'll actually start learning some new concepts in Swift, starting with variables.